that is that every page that you turn, you directly in that environment. So you look around, you're on the beach or you're on the cliff to look at the environment. So it was fascinating for the application. So today we're going to talk about what is virtual reality. So there are 3 papers. Have you guys checked out the papers? So the first one is by Slater. Is all of it's philosophical. He defined what is virtual reality, and there are 3 distinct features that he thinks that can distinguish virtual reality from other applications. And the second paper, we're going to talk about immersive journalism. So the group by Riley and Julia and Angel will do the supplementary material, and the PowerPoint look great. Okay, and the third paper is talking about swapping body, your virtual body, and then put elderly people into, not elderly people, like 40-year-old. Just because I'm not 40 yet, it doesn't mean that they're elder. Yeah, you're not either. You're young. You're not. 6. Yeah, I'm 37. Yeah, close to 40 elder people. Put people into 4-year-old, and they have some, changes. So these are the 3 papers we're going to talk about. But I'm not just only talk about the paper. I've prepared lots of materials and applications. So we're going to really look at virtual reality as an industry, because it hasn't had an industry yet. So it's developing right now. So how much did you know the industry about VR? Have you experienced any marketing by VR or any applications besides games? VR largely depends on digital games to boost the industry. Starting from 2016, it was because, lots of game designers released VR games. So people started to buy VR equipment just for games. So digital games is a central thing to push and boost the VR industry. But now there are more and more applications, especially, for example, right now the US is under still the second wave of COVID-19. So they're still quarantined right now. So they really rely on different other ways to social with others. And if you want to buy a house, or if you want to sell a house, but you don't want to go in there because you have to cleaning and sanitize all things because of COVID-19, VR is a really great way to do that. So there's a VR house agency or something. You remodel, or you took the 360 camera and videotape the VR 360 video, and people get to explore your house just like they are there. So there are so many different things. So remember the first week of the first class, we talked about that using games or VR as a communication channel. So today we're going to talk about, what kind of characteristics does VR have, and what we can do for marketing or entertainment shows or different other ways, or persuasion, or information delivery. So I'm pretty sure that most of you or all of you could distinguish what is virtual reality, what is augmented reality, and what is mixed reality, right? Yeah, so I remember your reflection said, hey, Nick Bowman said, VR, you are in the environment, but AR is like bring the information to you. So let's see. It's called XR, like extended reality right now. If you use a term to cover all 3, it's called extended reality. So I'm sorry it's in Chinese, but I'm going to explain it in English, so no worries. So actually XR here. If you AR, you always need a mediated technology. For example, Google Glass or your iPad or your iPhone, so that you can overlay an digital information on over the real environment. So the most famous example is Pokemon Go. You guys know Pokemon Go, right? So you can use the AR mode, and you can see, hey, there's a what is it called? Copy. So what's his name? Snorlax, thank you, Snorlax. Oh, Riley, right? That's a really good translation. Yeah, Snorlax is standing just right beside Chen Chen. That's possible if you use that. So AR is like that, but VR, you always need to put a goggles on, and the goggle has to show you from the environment. So you shouldn't be looking at the ground if you know the if the goggle it doesn't design well. You can't actually look at the environment. It breaks all your experience. And the XR, actually, how many of you have experienced XR? Oh, it's like MR, mixed reality. Have you experienced that?
No, it's HoloLens.
A HoloLens by Microsoft. It costs like 100 grand, 100 grand per unit, US dollar. So it's probably not gonna, be like everyone. People will not, public will, it's probably not going to be open to public because it's too expensive. And what it does is that it's just like a glass, but when you look at the glass, it can project to some. You can look at the glass, and you can interact with the glass. For example, it's very narrow right now. It's only like 30 or 15 to 30 degrees, and within that area, you can drag and enlarge or do everything with the digital information or the technology. So you can look at the videos online, but most of them are bogus. Like they're doing the video in a brilliant way, but when you use it, it's not like that. So that's MR. So you can interact with the digital content while you are only using really thin glasses to project the images. So that's MR. So we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about VR. So right now you can see the one that we experienced last week is called 5 Pro. So we use 5 Pro. So it provides really good quality, and it's not that heavy compared to the first generation. You guys experienced the first generation, right? The first time that we play VR is maybe, yeah, I think it's quite heavy, remember? But the second time when you experience it is lighter, or maybe you couldn't feel the difference, but actually it's like that. So these are the technology that you have to connect to the computer. So these are high-end PC VR. So you always need the beacon. Beacons are tracking your goggles. So your goggles represent your head, and the controllers on your hand represents your hands. So they track your hands and they know how you can interact with the objects. Valve? Do you guys know Valve? Yeah. Valve, they released this index, Valve index just for games, for high-end games, and HTC actually bought their skills and all the technology early on, so they can develop their VR industry. But actually now Valve have already developed their own PC VR engine, so we're not sure whether 5 is competitive enough right now. So the other trend that I'm going to tell you is called standalone VR device. You don't need a PC at all. You just need a device. I have Oculus Quest 1 and 2 at my house right now. So you can just, put it on and you can directly play games and look at videos. But because it's standalone, so it's not connected to the PC. So sometimes the quality, the graphic quality is not that good and cannot process too complicated things. But it's very convenient, and I think this is for the public and for the general consumers, because right now the Oculus Quest only costs like $299 per piece. So that's a groundbreaking price for all the VR machines. Usually for 5 Pro or Cosmos Elite, you have to pay, let me think, probably 700 or 800 for Elite, Cosmos Elite. But this is only $300 for Oculus Quest, and it provides nearly 4K quality for the video, and it has really good X2 graphic card or Jingpian. Yeah, so these are the standalone piece. And Taiwan right now has a company called XR Space. They're trying to build a 5G business platform. So each commerce, like each company can go inside and then have their own like VR world, but nobody's using this platform right now because we are not moving to 5G yet, right? How many of you are using 5G services right now? Yeah, and also Taiwan is one of the countries that is really early on 5G development. So we are too early that there's no crowd to use anything else. So the platform is there, but nobody's using it. So it's developing, but it's poor. So they released this Monova, and I used it and I hated it because they said you can use your hand tracking, and actually Oculus Quest has hand tracking system, but you know. The most important thing for any VR device is a tutorial, right? When you put it on, there's a tutorial. So XR Space Manova, they have really good packaging, everything. But when you put it on, the first thing they taught you is how to use your hand gesture to control everything. That's very frustrating, annoying because you can't put your hand too high or too low. You have to put it somewhere like before, right in front of you, and then you have to like really do this thing, and it's not accurate at all. So it's very frustrating. So I couldn't pass the 15 minutes of my tutorial with this, so I haven't used it since then. So it was laying on my bath one of the room, and I never used it. But so that's the XR Space, and they let's look at their video. Let's see. But uh, 可能是会成瘾。Yeah, you can see the hand tracking. So that you can directly use basketball and all. No, you don't have any colors. You can see any point that you can do. That's really cool, right? Yes. Okay. Okay, we can stop here. So that's their I'm sorry that I okay. So that's their frequency. Yeah. So that you can use the hand tracking. That will be the development in the future, definitely, because Facebook also is developing this. Right now, actually, you need to use gloves to have a really good tracking, but you can also use the hand tracking. But for Facebook, hand tracking is not that accurate either. It's okay, but it's not that good. So let's see this. That's from yeah, that's our okay. There are wants to say the VR. I'm not sure. But they are ambitious because they think that 5G will turn the world in a different way. So let's see if that can boost. How many of you are willing to join this? First, the goggle costs you like $18,000 Taiwanese dollars.
Oh,
Still not for me.
Still very expensive. And then you use it to watch baseball game with other. I think it's a pity because I mean it's hard to be boosting right now because Taiwan is very normal. Like we don't have COVID-19, so we're still interacting with each other offline, and we're seeing each other closely. And last weekend there's a baseball final games, right? 总冠军赛, the champion game.
The World Series.
No, the Taiwanese.
Taiwanese.
Taiwanese, yeah, and there's lots of crowd in there, so it's sad. But in the U.S., VR industry is really rising up and it's boosting because of COVID-19. So you can see there's a parallel world between Taiwan and the U.S. So this is from Facebook. It's Oculus Quest. So you can see it's only $299. You use the XR2 chip. Yeah, so it's a special chip for VR and AR. So they also put Oculus Move to calculate how much how much energy that you spend every week. But I never use that function. So Facebook is really trying to bring the VR world, and they are going to introduce this Horizon world soon, like in the future. They plan to introduce this in the beginning of this year, and then there's COVID-19, so they postponed it until now. It hasn't shown up yet. And I signed up the beta test for several times, and it never invited me to do that. So sadly, I couldn't really join that world right now. But I saw their videos. Their focus that you don't need to learn any programming. You can directly drag objects and build your own VR world. So I think that's pretty fascinating. And because of the COVID-19, people are relying heavily on Zoom. So there's a Zoom fatigue, Zoom for all the meetings and all the things. But this, you can actually put it on and then, interact with others, just like Grace. Last week, you hang out closely with other people and kind of like walk through their body or be really close to them. But how do you feel? How did you feel? Do you really feel that the space is different?
I felt like this space was different.
Yeah.
I feel like us having a conversation feels very different.
Yeah.
But like I was interested in the fact that like I could just like have a conversation with a random person, but then this gets into like what I talked about last week with like parental controls.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like this is just a breeding ground for like bad things to happen. So
Yeah.
like because that little girl who was just like talking to me like at 1 a.m.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm tired.
And I'm like, bro, where are your parents? Like,
Yeah.
you should be in bed. So like,
She's probably in her bed like this. I'm not sure.
well, you have to like stand because you have to.
Yeah.
Hold your,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Well, I saw someone on the ground. Probably but not that girl.
Right.
And then you just transport it to other world.
Yeah.
When she still wants to
Yeah,
talk to
but
you.
I was just like, well,
Probably broke her heart a little bit.
I'm sure it has happened to her more than once.
Oh,
so
okay,
it's totally fine.
cool. Yeah, so the space is really different. So imagine. So do you want to have a meeting in VR or in Zoom? Really depends on the context, right?
Yeah, I think if we were having like more of a lighthearted meeting.
Yeah, then VR.
Sure,
Yeah.
that would be fine.
But it's like too official. No,
Right.
I don't want you to observe all my moves and all things like that. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so VR, I think it's really wonderful if people throw a party there and people can just hang out and if you need more like visual cues or behavior cues. So I'm going to show to you that the gambling industry is adopting VR very rapidly because they need to show players need to look at other people's cues when they decided to bluff or not. So gambling gambling industry is using this and create a really cool application. Probably will show you that next week because it's the contact video by Facebook. Um, yeah, because you don't have the control. Okay. No, not funny. Ooh, excited. Oh, it ends here. So, um, you have to understand right now the context in the U.S. right and the Europe. All the teenagers or kids are playing the digital games like Roblox. Do you guys know that? So it's a platform. The platform, and you can create all mini games within the platform. So right now, Web 2.0 is everything is a platform. So people there create their own information and people consume each other's information. But in digital games or VR world, it means a virtual world or virtual space. So people are talking about there are 4 online amusement parks. Disney has a real amusement park, but because of COVID-19, turned down. So Disney opened this Disney Plus channel, tried to get more revenues to remedy the real amusement park. But right now, if you look at online amusement park, these are Grand Theft Auto series online world, and the second one is Minecraft. The third one is Roblox, and the fourth one is Fortnite by Epic Games. These are 4 different types of games platforms. So in Fortnite, there is a game, and they even held, million people participated their event-based online concert by someone else, Travis Scott, and in Roblox is a platform, so there are more than 650 thousand games there created by so many different other gamers. So you can actually share the revenue from the game platform if lots of people are playing your game. So, so Roblox, and the third one, Minecraft. We don't even say that. Lots of people have played Minecraft, and it's very educational for programming and all the things and Grand Theft Auto series. So you can see people are spending a lot of time socializing with each other, especially kids. I heard someone talking about that over spring break. Someone's daughter will invite her friends over to her house. Each person bring a laptop. They sit down on the dinner table, and they each log and play games in Roblox. So that's how teenagers, interact with each other right now. Is that true, Grace?
In America? I don't know any teenagers.
I'm sorry.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but according to the recent data by last month, teenagers under age 17, they spend like averagely 26 hours per month to play Roblox. That's even higher than YouTube, Netflix, and Facebook. Facebook only costs them 3 hours per month, and they spend 26 hours per month in Roblox. And even though they're grown up, people who are over 17 years old, they still spend like 27 hours per week for Roblox. So these are the really rising game platforms. So right now you can see what is Facebook doing. Facebook is not good at any game platforms or any games at all. Facebook is trying to use VR to build this VR world, and actually Facebook has already acquired and bought the whole company from Oculus. So they're trying to reach to the VR industry. So there is their map. So let's see if they can really open this world they call Horizon to the public, like in the early next year, and how it grows. Facebook is probably the really important key to boost the VR industry. If not, then I don't think anyone can do that. Okay, so that's Facebook. And actually this year, Facebook has annual events, annual conference for VR, AR, and talk about technology and Facebook development every year. And this year, they hold the hybrid format. One is, you can directly go to their website and look at the video. And the other format, you can put on your goggles and join this Venus place, and you can watch the event with others. And I logged in with my Oculus One, and I only found 3 people in that event. Well, that's the 7th hour of that event. It's in the morning, but it makes sense. Not very many people there, and I was disappointed a little bit. I thought there will be some avatars directly in front of you talking to you. Instead, they put a large screen. I'm just there using VR to watch another YouTube live video in VR. So why am I going to use my goggles? I can just use my computer to do that. But I found something very interesting is that you can actually talk to other people while looking at that video, and it provides this physical presence and social presence. It's just like movie theaters, and each one has a seat, and while other people, they're sitting there, but you cannot actually hear what they're talking. So that's a really good design. You can only hear what your people when they talk to you. So great. When I was there, I was like looking around, nobody's, and then someone logged in, is a guy, and he sat next to me. He's like, are we the only 2 people here? I said, probably, but I know there are 2 other people you can directly transport to people near them and talk to them. And he's like, cool. And he's talking about, and then the bell of my house ringing because the Uber is sent over the breakfast. So I said, hey, sorry, I had to go because the Uber is here. And then when I came back, he's gone. So I was a little bit disappointed. And then I transported to another girl. She's like sitting on the ground. So she's sinking herself in the seat. And so I talked to her and say, hello, nice to meet you. Sorry to bother you. And she's like bowing to me, going back to. So I think it's really cool. It's a social event. So in the future, you get to really meet each other in VR in a social space. So right before when you log into this called Venus, there's a ethical guideline from Facebook, and they said if somebody touch you inappropriately or do something bad, you can raise the red flag to Facebook, and they will directly drag you and make the avatar disappear. So it's really cool. And so yeah, that's not the video. And so Facebook even released a video said they're going to use of Infinite Office. They said you can just wear the goggles all the time, and then you can use a real keyboard to key everything. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I was like, why do you want to do that? But because right now when you're in VR, when you type something, you need to use the controller and click each character over and over again. If you have my Facebook account, I recently shared some videos from Facebook directly. So when I was in Oculus, I can record everything and then directly share it to my Facebook because it was linked to the account. So it's a little bit troublesome to use that controller to click, but with a keyboard you can do that. Let's see the video. I'm not convinced by this, but maybe you guys have other thoughts. It's a YouTube video. We need to wait it like wait for it to load a little bit.
Oh, it's already.
It's a YouTube video, so it's a YouTube link. So when it's ready, I will be able to click it. But right now, too short.
How about we?
Yeah, it's okay. You can go online and look at the video yourself. Is that okay? Or do you guys want to watch it? That's okay, right? Yeah. Okay, so if we look at the two competitors right now, one is HTC, one is Facebook. And for me, I think HTC is trying to aiming for the high level industry level, so B2B, and Facebook is trying to reach for B2C, so to customers. So you're not going to buy a real high-end PC with 5 Cosmos Elite because that would cost you like 2,500 US dollars. But for Oculus, you only need VR for casual social events and all the other things. So 299 is enough for all of the people. So it's still growing and it's changing. So let's see how it grows next year. And hopefully I'm right with the B2C from Facebook and B2B from HTC. And Manova XR Space is trying to do B2B2C. So they build this 5G the platform for business, and business coming in here and provide their services and marketing activities for their customers. Okay, so these are just predictions and see how VR market size is growing. And I think it's all bullshit, so I'm going to skip this. But look at this graph; it's really interesting. But in 2019, you can see the commercial use is more than half of the VR content. But the other thing here, the dark purple here, is aerospace and defense. Do you know how U.S. military is really using VR? They ask the soldier to put on VR goggle, and they can control the drones. The drones can fly over the borders and or look at the other countries ground, and when they put on the goggles, they felt like they are just there, and they can control the drones and really do other things. For example, they can remote some bombs or whatever so to do that. So that's aerospace and defense. So I'm pretty surprised by how U.S. military is trying to boost the games and VR industry by adopting all the technology. And these are consumer use is another 1/3 or 1/4, and enterprise and healthcare is growing. So healthcare is using VR for lots of things, and especially telemedicine and telehealth, and especially your physician or the other like a nurse, they can track your behavioral data from your device, and when you use the VR, you can directly like meet your physician and talking about your like different plans and schedule for your movement and your exercise routines or other things. Okay, so these are things. So I'm going and this spatial is like a enterprise solution for VR. It's pretty cool. There's a website you type spatial and then you enter it. They would create your real life like avatar head. So they directly take photos of your face and then they put your real. See, these are real heads. So it's not like any avatar. It's your real head into this avatar, and then you went into the VR goggles. You get to work with others. You can do presentations and you can talk to others about different projects. So it's really cool. And I try to do that and I'm out of time. So, and they provided this space for you. It's pretty cool. So let's see this. I think it's pretty successful. think it's a really cool application. So let's see what VR can do. First, I will invite you to look at this video. Vaccine. Now, every time you get the vaccine, so there are very, because there's feedback. You see, even put a speaker in the speaker. Okay, so what do you think about this? The application? Any thoughts?
Cool for kids.
Cool for
Or
kids.
even adults. I would love
Yeah.
that. I don't like getting shots. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's like I always do this when they're doing the shot, so I don't want to look at the needle, right? And when they're swapping the cotton, I was like, oh, when the needle is coming. Yeah. So, but this, you're looking at another world, and they put different game elements in it. First, there's a mission. The mission, you're coming back to get the mission, and when you put the shield on your shoulder, you actually protect the run. So the magical run, and the enemy fell down because you put the powerful shield. And so there is a positive reinforcement and feedback. So it's a good thing, and then they calm you down because you're looking at others. I think dentists also need to use this.
Yeah.
In Taiwan, I'm not sure about in other worlds. In Taiwan, the dentists, they will always put a TV screen in front of you. So
that's so nice.
oh, I know, but it's not enough. You can still feel hear the sounds, and it's like washing your teeth is also a little bit painful for me. So
Yeah, I grew up with when I would.
if you put VR there, and then it was like and then I don't care. Maybe I can use we can design a game, and then having your mouth open, and then you can have fire coming out from your mouth to attack other monsters. So you are willing to and then the dentist would do it quickly. Isn't it nice? I think I just created some really cool ideas. So
You need to pitch that.
yeah, I need to pitch that to some company. I can sell it to dentists. See if you can, sell some company some really cool products. So these are ideas, to make our life better. So see if you can come up with different ideas. This one is from Belgium. They use VR to make people less painful, because sometimes the sedated medicine is not that cool, so they use this digital sedation, so put you in VR, and sometimes it's even more effective than other people. So these are just some news to share with you. And there's also VR therapy. See, right now the therapy, they will ask you to imagine you are in some world, and then listen. They will have some music, or chirping, or forest, or the sea waves, the sounds. But here, directly in that world, and that's even like easier for you to immerse into that. And actually, it can be teletherapy. So it means that it can be in distance. So the physician, or it's actually protecting. What do you call the therapist? Yeah, actually, you can protect the therapist. Sometimes therapists, they're involved with so many patients, it's hard for them to adjust their moods or something. So if you can do therapy. So you have distance with your patient and guide them through the VR world. And I think it's a pretty cool application. So other people talked about that you can do the 3D model of your deceased parents or deceased kids, or and then you can spend time with them. So these are different ideas. So imagine different VR therapy. Do you guys need therapy? I don't think so. We're so young. Maybe we need those, but well, do you think that VR can help you to have to treat your insomnia? Like if you cannot go back to sleep, or if you cannot sleep very well? I don't know. I probably would think VR is too stimulating.
Because it's like literally having you know how they say don't scroll on your phone.
Yeah,
before
yeah,
you fall
yeah,
asleep?
yeah,
I feel like it's
yeah.
the same concept.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about before the sleep, but the therapy, maybe we can try that, and it would be different. For example, the winter in NCCU is bad. Always raining and and grayish. But if you put VR on and you're on a beach, hang out with others, I think it works. Okay, the other thing is this. Do you guys know this? Is certain companies, they're trying to develop this. Remember, in the lab we have a space you can walk around, but so like most of us do not want to walk around too much because we know we are going to hit the television or hit your classmates, right? So they have this idea. So they put you in this machine. In this company like Virtuix, only you need to wear the VR shoes. So you can directly walk around and then any direction. And there's a gun, so you can actually play first person shooter, just like you are actually on the battlefield. So let's see. Like, yes, you are receiving the first run. I think it's pretty cool because you can exercise with you. That's awesome. But my friend, my student, he encountered player. The gun has legs, so hard to work with. But I like the idea. They sort of like solve the problem. You don't want to transport all the time is real. This you can actually, within the sky. This one is they use this and play with the ghost ring. It's just so real. Imagine the first time when we played and you walk around. And this model, you don't need to wear shoes. So I mean the VR shoes. See, you can directly walk. So she's scared, and she's so scared in the middle of this section. She directly, put the dog. So these are the okay. So do you guys if it's cheap enough, like if it only costs like $3,000 like $100, are you willing to set up this thing in your home for VR?
I feel like I would if more people would also as well.
Oh.
So it's like all of us got switches all at the same time.
It's like everyone is in Ready One Player
Exactly.
world.
I feel like this is the same thing that works with social media. It's like we flock to the social media that all of our friends are on.
Yeah, but and for social media, it's very easy to use. Yeah, but this right now is not that easily to use or something. Okay, so we talk about the first paper. The author Slater, he talked about the concept called immersion. So he talked about in order to achieve immersion, there are different aspects and dimensions we can talk about. He said in virtual reality, the first thing we always need is called place illusion. What is place illusion? It's like illusion that you know you're not there, but you feel like you're there. So who experienced the elevator to the high building and then walked out? Cherry? Yeah. You know you're not there, right? Can you actually look at can you see the floor in our room? No.
I cannot see.
Oh, okay. But you know you are in the floor, but you feel like you are up there. So is it real? Is it very real to
I
you?
feel really real, and I cannot, and somehow I cannot realize that at some time of that moment, I feel that I cannot realize that I'm still
In the room because all your brain sees is there on that high building, right? So that's place illusion. So except for that, any other applications that makes you feel like you have strong place illusion? Think about the
Scary house.
scare house that you experienced. Yeah, you feel like you are there.
Because like there are things that you have to like interact with, and then I'm like, I don't really want to see anything jump out at me. You know?
You're like really screaming.
I like really don't. It's crazy because I love horror games, but it's like it's worse that you're the person.
Yeah.
Awful
Because you are the person, so there's no distancing between the screen and you. And then when you are inside the screen, the world is just too much, right? So it's strong. And what about you? You play Half-Life?
Half-Life, and the first time we played VR, I played zombie shooting games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think I think I'm there, and there are lots of zombies near me. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very real, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's ask Coco. You play the boxing. Do you feel like you're in that gym?
Yes, I feel like something is killing me. So
Oh. Yeah. So that's a possibility illusion. It means that you know that thing doesn't happen, but it happened. It feel like it's flying to you. So who watched the whale? The whale, right? You know, there's no whale, but the whale swing away and the tail almost hit you, and you feel like it's happening. And you know, there's no zombie, and zombies walking toward you. You feel like it's walking toward me, and you are like backing down. So, on the Halloween day, I went to the box. It's called Box Taipei. It's a bar. They have so many VR machines there, and it's awesome because you can play the game with 4 other people. So 5 people in a team, and then you're defending. And it's really hard and it's really cool when the zombie is just right in front of you or trying to fly over, and it's just really cool. So the plausibility and the place illusion, these are the 2 important elements. The third one is called virtual body illusion. What is virtual body illusion?
Is it similar to like what I did with like making the avatar and like avatar is like me representing me, so I'm controlling the
yes. And when you look down, when you look at your body, you see the virtual body. So if you use that virtual body for a long time, you feel like, oh, that body is mine. So that's virtual body illusion. So we're going to end here for a little bit, and we have a break, and then we come back to look at more concept from Slater talking about immersion and presence and virtual reality. Okay, cool.
今天还在写呢，这里你会想要直接签吗？还是我跟那个先给您过目，然后给志宇助教盖都可以。
什么东西？
这边有超多张，总共有10张。因为我现在先写了。
我可以签啊，我可以签。
5份。好，那不好意思，我想说这样要签比较久。哦，好的。
不好意思去找他。
好，这个是老师是那个经收证明的。
这是演讲的吗？
对，有好几个，就是应该可以，也可以
还有我的那个课程。
对，我现在先报了，总共有5种，然后这个是那个讲师的，
对，好，
顾问费跟那个
好厉害，是不是很难？
就是
是不是要这个
计划组成，主要是我会不知道怎么做。
对啊，
就是
因为然后我们都不懂。
对。然后就子宇助教今天有鼓励我，
他
说你几次后你就会。
对，就是反正报出去以后他退了，他就告诉你说哪里错了。
他跟我说哪里不对，对我就会知道。这是莹莹，然后这个是另外一位讲师，
对，一样。
然后这个是何谦买的那个 Steam，
对，不好意思让他垫钱的。
然后这个是老师的
对
教材研发费，然后这边总共刚刚签了5张，
对，
那我这个有先多印几份，我先印了10张，就我怕万一怎么样。
好，会比较方便。谢谢，不
好
意思，
谢谢。
就是这个真的很不容易哈。
但我就是知道一次之后，下次就
没了，
就
学期末对。因为其实我们经费我还把它切的还算蛮单纯的，就是我没有用什么其他，我其他全部之后我会买很多游戏，就是这样。然后
都是游戏，
还有面罩啊，你帮我有空跟何谦说，请他订很多 VR 的面罩，这样。
就是那一块白色的。
对，那个白色，你就跟他说帮我再多订几包这样，然后就是用在业务费，因为我们业务费是不是还不少？业务费好像也是有10万，有10万，对，就是4万跟10万，我们业务费都有10万。
是不是还要问我们还要问第3位讲者那个钱可不可以换到那个，因为就是
对啊，
假日那时候问是，我看他写2万，可是我们这样会花到3万。
对，然后我觉得那细项就看有没有弹性，就只是写的，但是就是再加上去应该也还好。
OK， 这里是我的那个正式的禁用文件吗？然后我去找那个就是乃华助教说，他跟我说有一个很细节的地方，他说就是这些日期啊，他说我只要有涂改都要请老师再证明一次。
对，不可以随便涂改。所以写到1月1号是 OK 的吗？
所以我就是不知道这件事情，因为那时候问秀阳小姐，她跟我说，就是我的要分开，怎么讲？我要办到12月底，然后再办一次1月份。
是哦，
就一切因为进系统的关系。想说。所以我不知道，不然我就用手写就好，就变成这样。谢谢。
不会。好。
然后还有这边也是。很像就那时候乃华助教有一直提醒我这件事情。他说，然后确认一下。这边是。
那你要帮我就是 track 一下我们总共业务费剩下多少钱？
好的，然后如果有多，我们就可以再买那个面罩。
对，我们就要赶快把它花掉这样子。
OK， 因为这样多买一点，我们以后也可以用。
对啊。那他演讲有说就是要告诉他办在什么时间什么之类的吗？没有。
办在什么时间？是说什么时间内要办完？
不是，就是。他有演讲需要附什么证明吗？
我那时候查，可是那是会议嘛，不一样。
对，不一样。会议才要什么
签到单。那我觉得应该就那可能就没有，因为那个网页上没有写到演讲这个，它是有写顾问费。
了解。
然后顾问费它是写到那个，还有这边也是，写到那个就是要什么签到单那些，但我就觉得说。那时候就不太确定，就觉得应该还是要问问看叶先生，
顾问也要签到单，好，反正你就问他就对。
然后那时候就要跟我说，我要看每个计划的做法会不一样。
对啊，所以我才说高2生跟你要问，因为这个还蛮新的。
OK， 这边就没有，这个就是我们那个核定表。
对。
然后我那时候是留意到这个细项。
对。
我就怕我们万一这样3万会不会不行？看他可不可以变成3万加1万。
应该还好，我觉得还好。
然后我们可能这个业务费就没有了，这样子。
对啊，我们就不要用这个。这个说不定可以再报给谁？
就名字不一样，没有？它是笔名。
这是笔名，这也是他。
OK， 可是希望他可以跟他们一样。
对啊，好烦，尴尬。就先报给一个谁好了。 报给下学期要演讲。
那我我们要确定这里没关系，不一样没关系。
对啊，没关系就
先这样，
对
先把这个
就问，
先问
到时候
这个。
有没有人？对，先问这个，再问这个。好 ，OK，
OK， 谢谢。
Noah, it's already 3 o'clock. No, actually 2 o'clock. You're not there last week. You didn't show up.
I wasn't. I actually came in to let you know that I decided that I want to withdraw from the
Oh,
course.
why?
I just want to focus more on my thesis writing
Yeah,
and
yeah,
on my
okay.
core
Yeah.
classes. So, unfortunately,
It's okay.
that's the decision that I've made. I'm sorry. I
It's
just want to
okay.
let you know I sent in an email today to
Oh,
Kenny.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Do you need any signature?
So the withdrawal period doesn't actually start for another 2 weeks. So
Oh, really?
yeah, 16.
Oh,
Also
okay.
withdrawing one.
So yeah, I'll come back in 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding us about
Yeah.
the QR code. I look at you and I remember. Oh, well.
I'm sorry about being late today.
Oh, yeah, it's
I
okay.
have some problem at my
So,
house. I got blocked.
there's actually
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
you can
no
do.
problem, no problem. Yeah, no worries.
I will go to watch the record.
Okay,
Anything.
thank you.
Thanks.
说给他们那个
Hmm.
So, my email, I have a question for you.
Did I? Yeah,
Yes,
I
you did. You answered.
replied.
You answered. I will definitely look into the Korea case, but I'm also like interested in kind of like your opinion. Should I just avoid completely like my original idea, or should I just? Would you prefer that I move that direction towards gender imbalance in Korea?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at whether people can play games and then to change their mind about the gender equality.
Let me do something. I think we can actually let's talk after class.
Yeah,
Let's talk
yeah,
after
okay.
class. I will, because like I said, I read a book
Yeah.
last semester, kind of just generally about in a social media class on like digital nationalism,
Yeah.
and so I had like an idea that I want to, and I can like tie this one and another one together, but they'll be different papers.
Okay,
but
okay,
I have an idea.
okay, cool.
Okay.
老师，我们要开始。
嗯。
那我选这个选。等一下它宕机。OK。
没关系。
I had some I teach English and have some students who are adults and they've never had Halloween. Yeah, they live in Taipei. And so we like Nice. Did you go to one close by or like far away? Okay, yes. Yes, because Pride was his last.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start the course. It's not too demanding, right? This course is not too demanding. I don't think so, but except for reading the papers, but
I feel like
they're
it's better
not.
than development. All I read about is Asian development. That's all I read about.
Papers are relaxed. Okay, cool. Let's talk about Slater. Slater, he talks about immersion. So he talks about the reality is like a zero order level, and you have different technology that has different levels to mimic and imitate the reality. It will not replace the reality, but it will try its best to become or look like reality. And in immersion, he talks about this concept called sensory motor contingencies. He said that it has to be mapped to your real life interaction. For example, when you look left, when you turn your head left, the vision has to be updated really quickly just like in reality is there. So it can't have any delay or something. Otherwise, you feel dizzy. So sensor when you are, for example, like kneeling down, your vision will be kneel down, and when you do lots of things, it will have a corresponding feedback. And when you look closer, when you look something like move closer to an object, you should be able to see the details from the object. Otherwise, it won't be real. So these are phallic actions. So there are two types of actions you can design from VR. First one is just like the whale by what's her name? Angel. When she looked at the whale, she doesn't have any controllers. She cannot interact with the whale. But the whale, when the whale encounters you, like move closer to you, you feel like he's interacting with you. So just like the ghost house by Grace, you can't do anything. You have the flashlight, right? But the they use the objects to move around you and to appear or jump out to scare you, and you feel like there's a one-way interaction. So these is one type, and the other type is that you have the controls. You can fire the gun, you can kill the zombie. Those are different actions. Well, I think in the future they will gradually evolve from controllers to hand gestures. So you're able to do lots of freedom and to interact with others, especially in social VR. Okay, and when we talk about virtual body or body ownership, we need to. There's a video talking about the plastic rubber hand illusion. Do you guys know rubber hand illusion? So rubber hand illusion talks about that when you look at the rubber hand and you receive the same stimulus from your real hand and the rubber hand. In the video, they always use a brush to brush your middle finger, and also in your real hand, and also in the rubber hand in front of you. So you're looking at the rubber hand being brushed by a brush, and your real hand hiding, hiding from the rubber hand or beside the rubber hand that you cannot see is actually also being brushed by the brush. So when they suddenly use a hammer or something to hit your hand, you will be like because your head and your brain looks at the visual stimulation. It's the rubber hand, so you feel like it's your hand. So in the VR, it's the same concept. If you have all the feedback on your controller, and you feel the vibration, and you look at your hand, your body for a long time, you feel like that's your actual body. So there's a stream of literature in communication in VR talking about like protease effect. Protease effect talked about that. If I give you an assigned virtual body, you will conform to the behavior with that assigned characteristics of the body. For example, if it's a black people, you feel like, oh, I behave like a black person or something like that. So we'll talk about those studies later. But right now, after we saw the three concepts, I am inviting you to look at this VR entertainment show and see how you can redesign the show. It's from the industry. When I give a talk in VR to the EMA, like an EMBA, like MBA program or master's degree for industry people, there's one like a show creator. He asked me, Tammy, I use VR and VR is cool. I use VR to create a show, but people don't seem to be too happy, or people seem lukewarm towards the technology. Why? Why was that? And I looked at the video and see how you think. You like VR. You like so you have asked that they invite kids to why game. Okay, do you guys know what it's about, right? So it's a competition game and you're trying to finish the idioms and phrases quickly enough. In Chinese, there are four words idioms. So, and you when you guess it, when you compete with each other, you use the VR to write it and then submit your answer. Do you think it's a good design? Why not? Why not? Yeah, Coco? Like they write like 3-year-old children. Oh, and you have for them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's your English name? I'm sorry. Lily. It's like you can direct raise your hand and you can play the game without VR, right? So we don't know what VR plays any role in this, except for they wearing a goggle and then they write the words. Okay, cool, nice point. Other?
I feel like the audience has no, like, I feel like it's not really inclusive for the audience.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like there's like a disconnect between like I don't know, it just doesn't, it feels like there's not really something for the audience to like feel connected to.
Oh, okay. So it's like, yeah. So the audience cannot be connected to the game. It's not suspenseful and it's not exciting and I cannot feel any emotion from the game. So if it's an entertainment show, if it cannot make you laugh or make you angry or excited about, it failed its purpose, right? So if I invite you to redesign it, how would you design it using these 3 features in VR? If you get to redesign the show, they still have the same equipment.
I think maybe if we care about the virtual body, we can instead the controller to Chinese brush.
Oh, Chinese
Yeah.
毛笔.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chinese brush.
Yeah. And,
Like a pen with a horse hair. Thank you.
yeah, and if you just write a word in the screen, it's not a screen, it's Chinese paper, 宣纸.
Oh, you mean in VR?
Yeah. I think it's more real.
Oh, you're from a realistic perspective. Okay, so make it real. But they can use the real 宣纸 and the pen in their show, right? Why do they need to use VR to do that, right? I mean, because the Chinese pen is not that hard to acquire.
Yeah.
Right?
Are they racing against someone? Or are they just themselves? Are there 2 people?
And
It's a race?
how?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a race. Yes, a competition. Yeah, you.
I think because I have played some similar game on computer and website, I think it can redesign it by if you want to choose a character, you need to shoot maybe some. I'm not sure, using some skills to shoot and try to choose the character that will make.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, shoot. Maybe some.
Shoot the characters.
Yeah.
And so many characters
Yeah,
are like
yeah.
flying around, and then make it a VR shooting game.
Yeah. Because I played games like that.
Oh, okay. So
they
make it a
would-
VR version of that,
Yeah.
and it's exciting because it's an action game.
Yeah.
So adding on your concept, if it's a shooting genre, then are there any other features that you can, put in? For example, for me, if it's in VR, in place illusion, you can put it in so many different environment, right? If it's in forest condition, you can fogs. So there are fogs like moving around and blocking the characters, so you cannot see. You have to move around and to put the fogs move around to see the word and then shoot them. So fogs can be a challenge and it cannot be created in real world. It would be hard, flying characters and fogs, right? So, and he can put those people who are afraid of height, like Coco, no, I'm sorry, it's Cherry, and invite those participants and put them in a really high ground, and they have to shoot the characters, and they're like, oh, shaking. People will be like, wow, so cool. You're under, the cliff. You're on the cliff, and you can see that environment. That'd be cool, right? And there could be other environments like ghostly house. There we go. It's like jumping up, and you have to focus and find your word or something. So there's so much possibilities. I mean, if you want to use a VR, you need to create contexts and situations that's hard to be replicated in real world, right? But going back to your Chinese pen and paper, do you want to swap their body into other people, like body illusion? If they can have their virtual body, do you think what kind of characters do you think we can provide for them?
An old you could be like in ancient China and an old calligraphy master.
Yeah, or Confucius. You can be in Confucius' body. You know why? Because the Proteus effect said if you're in Einstein, your IQ will rise, will go up or something like that. So if you're in Confucius' body, maybe you'll be smarter to be in that context, and you raise or you compete with other very well. Any other mechanisms that you can think? There's a high school student that you can make it a basketball game, and you have to use a ball to shoot or to hit that word. Yeah. Or no, the character is on the ball. So you grab the ball and then shoot the blank and make it a idiom, complete idiom. So action games. Any other thoughts? Maybe it's super hot. So place illusion is easy to play with it, and the plausibility illusion is also another dimension that we can dive into. Any other thoughts? Today is very application.
In Thailand, there is a game show that people will have to immerse themselves in their small water, and there will be some scary animals like a lizard or a frog. Not a frog, like a lot of frog in there, or a lot of lizard in there, and the players has to continue themselves to sing a song to the
Oh, okay. They cannot be scared. Or...
Yes, I think if used in VR, maybe we can use VR to illustrate that scene instead. So you don't have to grab a lot of real frog in that studio and maybe
play this game. Yeah. So to put them into different game mode or something like that. So the frogs are scary animals from water. So that's a scary mode or so there's so many mode or like a dark night mode or foggy mode. So there are so many different play mechanisms here. Any other thoughts? No? Okay, I am going to skip to this. So VR has been another, there's a huge argument or they are arguing whether VR can be an empathy machine. It means that can really put you in someone else's shoes. So here, it's a video to say migraine. Migraine is a chronic headache with blood dots and like strong lights or something like that. So it's really hard to imagine. So they put this simulation into people's eyes. So it's really hard to understand what they're going through, but if you can directly embody that person and to see through their eyes, so there are lots of different applications we are trying to work to use VR to make you feel like you're in that person's shoes. So here's another academic paper. They are using your embodied experience to help you to merge yourself with people with the if they have they're colorblind. So imagine when people talk about colorblind, you can only imagine, right? Because when you're like, okay, I'm imagining, but when you open your eyes, you can see all the colors. So it's really hard to empathize with those people with, this paper, they're trying to test whether embodied experience called EE, embodied experience that you put in a VR goggle and you can see through the lens and everything is colorblind and so you cannot distinguish red from green or other colors. PT is when I talk about colorblind, you're like, okay, I can imagine. But so they compare these two solutions or different ways to see whether when you are inside the goggle, whether having this self-other merging, you feel like you are merging with that person, whether you will have greater helping behavior and whether you will have better attitude the colorblind people. And also they put a moderator here is like whether you originally care about other people that much. So it's their experimental design is embodied experience and also perspective taking. So these are the procedure that I'm going to skip, but here you can see the P is the participants and C is is the respondent, C is from the research team. They are acting like they are colorblind and they're practicing. So when the colorblind people played by the research team members, they will be there and see after you feel the colorblind, whether you will help them to practice their colorblind practices online. So there are second and the third experiments. So they found that perspective taken has smaller effects significantly than the E, which is embodied experience. So if you put on the goggles, the helping behavior is much more and significantly than the PT. So if you can look through their eyes, and it has better effects. So I'm inviting you to think of, is there any other context or situation that you can to get to really empathize with people?
I think like this would be helpful perhaps in the case of like severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How?
Because people, it's difficult when you have a severe mental illness or someone, because it's literally mental, right? You can't see these things happening. And people who are neurotypical, they can't even like imagine what it would be like for someone every day, medicated if they're not really taking care of it well. And so I feel like this could help be an exercise in empathy for things like that.
So what are the symptoms when they have this?
With like schizophrenia, that's the first one that came to mind, but that's just, like when you hear sounds and voices or see things that aren't actually there.
Oh, okay.
So take, severe obsessive compulsive disorder, you have these repeating thoughts, and so you have to do the compulsions to then satisfy the.
So are you going to record the sounds when they are?
I don't know. I was just thinking that would be useful whenever I think about empathy practices using VR. I tend to think of mental health.
Yeah, because right now the empathy application from VR that I know right now is mostly if it's vision, mostly focus on the vision part, you can imitate the vision, but if it's a neurological or emotional, it's hard to imitate that. So I'm just curious how you imagine that would be.
Yeah.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, I guess that's why schizophrenia came to mind, because that could actually be sounds that you can imitate maybe.
Yeah.
Of course it can't be individualized. So this is what this person experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
But like,
Yeah, but the sound and all things like that. Okay, cool. I don't have much time, but yeah, I'm going to skip a little bit, and I'm saving this for next week because next week we're going to talk about VR games and skipping. So we're going to talk about the third paper. Third paper is talking about the putting someone into the 4-year-old body and what are the effects. Remember, that's not the third paper. That's the PowerPoint from another paper. I'm just curious.
it was successful. Like even though they were adults, they were able to feel like they were the child. They had ownership.
So what are the effects? For example, they perceive the world to be, or the object size. Yeah, Lily?
They feel like the world is bigger.
Bigger. Yeah. Why?
Because they are in school.
Yeah, when we were kids, we feel like, oh, the 操场, how do you say 操场?
Feel.
It's like the field, the playground there. Well, yeah, with the running track there. Well, how do you call that area? School.
The track, then it's just a track. You
Just say tracks.
if it's a running track, you can just call it a track.
Okay. Yeah, that open field with the running. Yeah. So when you were a kid, you always feels like the school is big, but when you are adults, when you look at the elementary school, you feel like it's actually so small, right? So there's a alteration of your perception of the object size. So that's why one of the effects is the object size is bigger when you were put into this 4-year-old body. What about the second? Are there any other effects illustrated in the paper? Do they talk about their actual speaking frequency?
Yeah, they mentioned that.
But they said it was like.
It was like what?
I wanted to say it was like distorted, but I think that might be wrong.
Oh, distorted? No, I mean the effects of them.
The effects of.
Yeah, not the manipulation.
Oh, okay.
Did they talk about their real speaking frequency? Probably.
I remember reading about this.
Yeah, it's a very complicated paper.
Yeah, it went through like
filled with lots of methods.
Yeah. Because it covers this is the average for men and women and children,
Mm-hmm.
and like women are like an intermediate.
Yeah.
So it said, I'm just like reading the paper. It says none of the participants showed glottal fry that would have required them to be excluded from the data. So does that mean there wasn't like a huge effect?
Yeah, they have to sort out other data so that they can find. But the related paper, they put the similar design but different variables. But then they found that putting one into the 4-year-old body, their actual speaking frequency is higher. So it's towards the kids' frequency. The children's frequency is always higher. So put it into a 4-year-old body and you use the kid's voice. When later on when you speak, your speaking frequency is higher than your baseline. So that's actually behavioral changing from just using a VR body. So I remember they said they have greater identification with the kids also. So here, if we look at this virtual body illusion, we went back to the original research talking about proto-is effect. Proto-is, who knows proto-is in Greek mythology? Not really. Well, Proto is one of the gods who can mutate a lot. He just mutate. He can change his shape into different things. So here they use the term because when you're in virtual reality, put you into this body and then you will behave like that body's traits. So they said because I'm using this and it represents me, and somehow I just conform to that characteristics. I've feel like it's not because of the normalization or the social norms. It's just because the body. For example, when I played the game A Chair in the Room, it's a roomscaping game with a really cool story in it. In the game, in the beginning, I was tested because I was hallucinated based on the story. And if I look at my hand, there's a text say Zhang Dou or Zhang or Jen Dou, and then I have some scars in my hand. And when I see some hallucinating storylines, I feel like I'm really a lunatic living in this lab. So you can see your virtual body can really influence you. So here, this original research, they talk about whether if I put you into your head is attractive or not that attractive or very low attractive people's head. So simply put you into beautiful faces, normal faces, or not that beautiful faces, and see how you react to others. And their hypothesis is that if you are being put into a beautiful face, it's because you're confident about yourself. You are willing to more disclose your information to others, and also you will have shorter physical distance with others. Is that true in the US? Like if you're a confident person, you're willing to be close to others and disclose to more about your situation? Yeah?
Yeah, I think it takes a certain level of confidence to be like vulnerable with people.
Okay.
Cross-culturally.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how much. I do think it's easier to be like prettier, you know, especially for women. Like it's always easier to like feel more confident around people if you're like
Prettier.
If you know that people find you
Pretty.
I don't know what
Like
conventionally
attractive.
When you are conventionally pretty or
Yeah.
conventionally
Attractive.
I would agree that like it's a little bit easier for you to like ease into conversation or talk to people.
Oh,
because you know it
okay.
might be reciprocated.
Right. Somebody will talk to you versus like if you
Oh,
are
okay.
perceived as maybe
Yeah,
less-
nobody talks to you.
Exactly.
In
Or
that
if, you,
kind of.
or if you're a person who just doesn't like to talk to people.
Mm.
Like some people are a little bit more introverted.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so do the Chinese culture or Taiwanese culture have the same thing?
Yeah.
Really? Really? Cool.
Cross-cultural, yeah, I mean.
It's like if you're confident about your appearance, you will walk closer. Like the physical space, you won't, keep your distance too much from others, or don't talk about yourself.
General, not like everybody.
Right.
Yeah, but generally, really?
I don't think it's a
Cool.
conscious decision, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
physical space, I could see that happen.
Okay, yeah. Well, one of my students said, yeah, just like when you have a pimple on your face and that day you don't want to be seen with a pimple, so you
That's true.
try to be far away. And I was like, okay, I can understand that. Is that true in China? Can you observe those kind of that sense of?
I don't know. For me, I don't mention
Yourself information that much.
Yeah.
Out of
So,
privacy.
Maybe someday I think I will get close to him or she because
You like them.
the personality or some
Oh.
other things attract me.
Well, from my observations, some people, like people in Eastern countries love to be closer. Is that
They
true?
will hug each other.
It's like when I'm in line, like, or is that age related?
Yeah.
Age related. I'm not sure. There's like some elder people would love to be so close. Maybe you're in line because they're trying to push you or rush you get through the lines. I don't know. When I'm always in line, like people from Eastern countries always love to, be so close to my body that makes me uncomfortable. That's not in the social context. So, but it's just my observation. About in Japan.
Thailand.
Oh, Thailand. I'm sorry. I'm too tired today. Yeah.
In Thailand, I think that it depends on the characteristic of the people.
Oh, okay. Personality.
Yeah,
Okay.
it depends on that.
Okay. So thank you. So if we come back to this study, their hypothesis is that if you are attractive, you will have shorter physical space with others, and you talk about more about yourself. So the people in the VR and actually measure their physical space with they're talking to the confederate. What is confederate? Confederate is the person from the research team. So the research team will come to socialize with you, and they record the session so they can analyze what you talked about. What portion of the information you talked about is about yourself and your actual physical distance between you and others. And let's see their results. Results for interpersonal distance, actually, the more attractive people have shorter physical distance. And they also talked about more about themselves. So this is the first study, put you into beautiful faces and all things. Okay, and the second study is put you into height or tall or short body. I can understand. I saw the videos. I saw sitcoms from the U.S. and if you want to engage with a fight with others, if you're in a taller body, when you do this and try to fight others, you technically win half of that fight because you're taller. You're more confident and more intimidating. But in Eastern culture, is that true? Like if you're taller, you have more power. We can ask Riley. She's tall. No, you're a nice person. No. Well, so they test your dependent variable whether if I put you into a split condition and you have to negotiate with others, whether you have confidence to turn down unfair splits and unfair negotiation. So this is their test. In the round one, they said there's $100, and if I get to split it, so the participants split it, and you can say I take $70 and you take $30. If you say no, then both of you cannot get the money. But if you say yes, both of you can get the money. So round one is a test run. So participants, you can do the experiments. You can say, hey, I want to do the split. I am doing the split, and I get it. If you say no more than $90, and the confederate will always agree with you. The second round is a fair round. So now the confederate will split the money, and they say, I get 50, you get 50, and see whether you agree with that. Because it's fair. Most of people say yes, so they get half and half. Third round, it's participants, the people who came to the experiment, they get split the money, and if they say no more than $90 for the participants, the confederate always say yes. Fourth round is the round that they actually measure. It's like the confederate will split the money, and they will say he will get $70, $75, and you get $25. And now to see if you're a tall person, will you most likely to turn down this unfair split? So see, understand right now? Okay, so their results is here. So if you see the short one, the split one is a fair round. So 54, more than half of them take the round. And split two, no, I'm sorry. The split two is split one and split two is they said they want $54. $99 averagely. Actually, we just need to look at the final split. See the short people, 72% of them would say yes to the final unfair split. But see, if the tall people, only 38 of them would say yes to the unfair split. So they had this conclusion saying, oh, if I put you in a taller body, you're more confident and more willing to turn down the unfair split. So this one has some debates after they published. Some people think, wow, so cool, and the others say, I doubt it. So there are more and more research talking about this. For example, Slater is the scientist from Spanish. They always do this really weird VR study. So they use VR to put you into an African American's body. So they said whether it can reduce your bias to the racial prejudice. So they said prejudice is not like conscious. Sometimes you just feel like, oh, African American, I respect them, but unconsciously you feel like they're out group and Caucasians are in group. I mean, I'm just assuming. So they're saying maybe you still have some bias toward out group in group. So they want to put Caucasians people into different bodies and to see whether those in the African American body will reduce their bias. Maddox, would you agree with this design?
I was looking earlier, I'm really like this here.
Yes, I'm sorry. And I just call your name.
So would I agree with which part?
No, do you think their hypothesis will work? I mean, do you think they're...
I don't think so.
Why?
I think,
Why
because,
not?
in America,
Ideal.
we think of, when we think of racial bias, we think of white versus black, and it's kind of like one-dimensional that way, even though it's not actually. And a lot of the time, like, it's not a covert, it's not an overt, like, racism. It's not like an overt prejudice. It's more like, I was raised this way, and so I have these, like, internal beliefs that I didn't have to grow up and, like, challenge. Like, I think it's a lot more psychologically complex than just being like, this is what it would be like to be someone who doesn't look like me. I'm like this, great, I'm fixed now, right? Like my biases are gone. I don't think it's that simple because it's cultural and it's psychological, and it has to do too with learning a lot from your parents, people around you respect,
and your neighborhood and everything, the context and environments and
a lot of people, like I grew up in South Carolina, and a lot of people in a lot of states, not just the South, aren't really put into any sort of racially diverse environment until college, at least, and even then.
Wow, okay, that's long enough.
Yeah, so you have a lot of time to build up these biases, and then you gotta like.
And it's not just, we cannot say the biases are bad, they're just that way. I mean, it's just in group and out group, just different groups, right? So here they're trying to reduce that. And thank you, Max, for the supplementary information. That's very helpful. No, why would you say sorry? It's very helpful. But let's look at their experiment because they're so ideal. So they put you into different body. And so the first one, this is a control group. Control group, you're still Caucasian's color skin. The second one is the African American body, so you're put into that. The third one is a purple body. Why do they put into this body? Why do you need to include this design in your experiment? Do you want to guess?
Just to see if it would have an effect, because it's not any real world bias that would make you like.
Yeah, that's one reason, and there's another reason. Yeah, you're right. Actually, the same reason, because they want to test whether it's just not we put into anybody with colors and that will have an effect. If I put it into black, it should have the effect. But if I put it into purple, nobody have a purple body, should have the effect. So this is another control group to tease out the colored effect, So this is the control group. And when you were put into it, and then you look at the mirror and you get to see your color, and there are 12 people coming to you and socially interact with you, and they want to see your reactions. So this is a tracking suit. So early on, they have this fancy lab. So everyone came into the lab will wear a tracking suit with the tracking dots, and they can directly move and mimic there. So they don't need any controllers, and they use cameras to capture your movements. So here is their video. You can see she's been put into I believe is African American's body, and she's a Caucasian. And she can look around and look at the mirror. They always use the mirror to make you feel like, oh, you're the, and if you move your leg and, directly display to that. And these are different people, white or black. They just come to you and look at you and then walk. Well, this is not going to be shown on in their video.
Oh, I
It's,
see. Okay.
it's just
I
a
was like,
program.
terrified. Okay.
It's a
I see.
they're videotaping the program, so it's another black person. So it was like, oh, we're alike, and so is a girl. So actually, you can see there, and guess their results are. If I put you into the African American's body, your bias is lowered significantly. So they feel like, oh, it's no longer like. So they use this implicit association test. It's a reaction test. So in different rounds, they would ask you to put I, me, the word you would use P, for example. And if you see other people, like other he or she, you put, for example, Q. And then you have to categorize all the random word in front of you and do this. And the other set of words is, for example, in this study will be Caucasian and African American, white or black. And then they would say, okay, white is P and black is Q. So they would test me and black person if it's in P, and me and African American that's in Q. If that's a different combination, which reaction is faster? If I still feel like I'm still Caucasian, my response to me and Caucasian will always be the fastest, and to the African American will be slower. So that's a reaction test to measure your cognition. So they found that if you put it into the black body, that reaction, me and African American will be shorter. The reaction will be shorter. That doesn't really mean that there isn't any bias. It's just say lower bias. But it's too ideal. I still have doubts with that because when you get out of them, there's no context there, no story. It's just some small effect. But they have another really funny experiment. They are measuring if I put you into a Caucasian's body versus an African American's body and measure how you play the drums. Will you play like freely or more tempo, like variation with the tempo if you're in African American's body? That's simply stereotypes, right? So they put you here and you also are wearing a tracking suit and you're playing the drums, and in the mirror you can see there's a you are a black African American or a Caucasian, or you don't have anybody. That's a control group. You only have purely white hands, and there's an Asian sitting next to you and playing the bass tempo, and you can add on top of it. So here, let's see the video. Oops.
It's on YouTube.
No, it's not. It's a video. Oh, it's here. A tracking suit. Again, I cannot. So it's teaching them to play the drums. I like to fold like fast forward. So he's practicing right now. Oh, see here, he's a Caucasian. So playing the drums, and you African American, you can see your hands are African American colors. See them. Okay, so any problems with the design? If you look at the graph.
Problems with the design
I'm sorry?
of like the
Yeah. Any problems with the design that you can spot? So it's three conditions: no hands, African American, and white person. But there's one thing that I think is spoiling the effects of the study. Spoiling means that to damage or to spoil the relationship. We're trying to find whether VR in African American body will have this effects on your playing tempo, variation of the drum playing tempo. So this relationship could be jeopardized or damaged by a spoiled variable. So what is that?
Your hands the hands are not a person because they're just hands. You don't feel anything.
Oh, you mean that? But
Like,
that's
you're
a
doing
control
that.
group.
Okay.
That's a control group. So yeah, nobody, just the hand. It's in this graph.
Is that another person is white person?
No, the other person is Asian. But very good eye.
Oh.
I can see Ming
Wait,
is trying. Ming is trying. See, don't say anything. It's a game for them.
Why is the white guy wearing a suit?
Yeah, ding,
I didn't even
ding
realize
dong.
Oh,
See,
yikes,
it's
yeah.
the clothes. White guy is wearing a suit, and the black guy is wearing a hooded jacket. It's like, why? You should wear the same clothes. It's like if you are in I can say this study has an effect because you are wearing a suit. Of course, you play like this, but I mean the jacket I play like this. So there's more I can say that. So this study has to be redone. And they have the result. If you're in a black person body, you play more freely, solely, like jazzly, and compared to the Caucasian. So see, they always have this really weird and funny stuff. But this one is, in my opinion, is a PDB. Is a little bit. We need to do more to support their conclusion because their clothes are different. So if you're going to run an experiment, you need to control everything, and you only need to manipulate that variable. In this case, their skin color be different, but the other thing have to be exactly the same. So you can say, oh, there's an effect. It's because the color is different. So that's from the experimental design. And talk about game research and VR research. There's always experiments. So we're going to learn a lot. And here is the 40-year-olds, and you can say their frequency is actually higher, and they feel like their self-concept is closer to kids. So this is I think their contribution is their self-concept. So if you put into the virtual body, the self-concept will be altered. Do you think what kind of concept is the same or similar to protease effect? Protease effect is talking about your relationship with the virtual body in the virtual world, right? In VR. In digital games, there's a concept that we have learned before that's very similar to this. Can you think of that? Yes, thank you, identification. Don't you think identification is very similar to protease effect? But protease effect is more like tap-down effect, like in this body, you will behave like this. But identification actually talked about it's because when I'm playing this character, it's because I'm merging myself with this character self. The self concept was temporarily altered to match with these characteristics. So identification is talking about that relationship with the character. And here, because the character is yourself, embodiment. So my research right now is trying to challenge that. Actually, protease effect is the same with identification. It's just, in a different concept. Because from Slater, the third paper we read today, they found that people who are in the child body, they have the greater self-concept, closer self-concept with the kid. So you can actually explain that the protease effect is because the altered self-concept. So you feel like you embody with this virtual body, and you behave like that. You conform with that characteristic. So, but nobody identify any support with my own argument. So I'm trying to do more research to argue this. But that's my job. That's as a scholar, I'm trying to develop the theory and try to do this. For you, you can think of really cool ideas to make us have a better life using VR. So today we have lots of applications and examples to show you. Okay, so I'm going to save this for next week because, but just to let you know, well, I can say it very quickly. They put you into a cow, Grace. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not calling your name.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's called Grace An. It's the first author's name is called An. Grace from the U.S. Georgia, and she conducted this study. They put people into the body of a cow and a coral. So you cannot you can not only embody another person, but you actually embody non-person well-being, so a cow. So they invite people to be in the cow, in a cow's body, and see the person participant really, they kneel down and they're eating the grass and all thing, and they use a stick to put your body, and you can see a stick to they, I don't know how to say that, they trying to organize the cattle or something, so organize the cattle, they manage the cattle, so you'll feel like this body is really me. So they tested whether you would not reduce your beef consumption after this. Failed because the stimulus only talks about being a cow. Being a cow doesn't mean that you can eat beef, right? If you want to address, the unethical way to kill a cow, you should, manipulate or mimic that you being a cow being killed unethically, right? So the first one is not that great, but the second one is so cool. They talk about ocean acidification, 海洋酸化 acidification, making the ocean sourness. I don't know. Yeah, sourness. Well, so what happens to a coral if the acidification happens?
They get white and they die.
Yeah, they die and their hands will fall. See, so making you a coral makes sense because they have, look at this. They have two hands like that. So they invite people to be a coral and then to look at, because of the ocean acidification, they get white and then they die, and you literally see your virtual coral hand fall to the ground. You feel like, oh no. So they tested this model. Their argument is that, I'm sorry, I'll give you 10 full minute break after this. They are testing, if I put you into VR or just let you watch a video, is it because spatial presence? It means that you feel like you are actually there. That's spatial presence, as it's similar to place illusion today, or because of the body transfer, which is the virtual body illusion. Which routes will actually have an effect or explain why you will feel like the inclusion of self in nature that high and reduce the temporal distance, which leads to higher issue involvement, that so you care more about the issue of ocean acidification. The inclusion of self in nature, it means that you feel like I'm really close to the self because I just embody a coral. So I mean, I'm including myself in nature. Temporal distance, it means that people always feel like, climate change is a long, it will happen in the future and not my business. It probably will happen long time, like in the future. Or you feel like, ocean acidification, I couldn't do much, so I feel like myself is really distant from this issue. But temporal distance means that if you feel like the simulation, you feel like the temporal distance, the time is shorter, so it will probably happen pretty soon, or it is actually happening right now. So they tested this model. I've already put my answer here, but do you want to guess which one has a better effect in a long term, like after 3 weeks? Okay, my answer is here. Well, but you don't know which one.
Yeah, I don't know which one. I can't read it.
Well, this means 3 because it is 3 lines. This is one line. Turn into a Chinese class. No, this is. Anyway, so three experiments. Yeah, this is long term. Yeah. Anyway, it means body transfer has a better effect than spatial presence because the body effect, you actually embody the coral, so that has an impact on your concept and your thoughts. and your cognition instead of just being there. So I think it's a really cool idea, experiment. It told us that virtual body embodiment can actually have a greater persuasive effects than just being there. So many research is talking about, oh, I'm there, so I have an effect. Please do not do this kind of effect. I hate those kind of argument. It doesn't really matter. You are there is the basic thing in VR. But what happens to your body or what happens to the possibility or in the interaction will make the changes in your cognition and behavior. So if you would like to pursue the study or research in VR, possibility illusion and virtual body embodiment will be very fruitful routes to go in addition to spatial presence. Okay, there's so many other cool studies that I'm going to save for next week. And later we're going to talk about immersive journalism. I only have slides later. And then after that, yeah, I am going to let them to talk about their presentation. So the last one I'm going to talk about is I just did my study last semester and I invited real elder people who are 60 years old and older to come to actually 65 years old to come to my lab to do exercise. And I put them into 20-year-old body versus 65-year-old body. And here's the results. It's so cool that people who are these are young people. There's a many effect. The different lines means different gender, male or female. And it doesn't matter you're male or female. If you're put into a younger body, you perceive yourself do the exercise, perceive exertion is higher. Perceived exertion is a really important concept in exercise. It means that you put lots of effort into the exercise. So if I put you in a younger body, when you do exercise, you feel like you put more effort into it. Do you think it's cool? We're in the edge of VR industry, and there are so many game and applications talking about VR exercise. In addition to exercising with others, if you can design to swap your body into like younger body or with the six packs, it can actually boost your exercise effects. You feel like you are more energetic, you can do more different stuff, so you have more self-efficacy. So I think these studies, we can have pretty cool and good practical results and make our world better. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Let's have a break for 10 minutes. We can enjoy our bathrooms without any other crowds because they're in class right now. And then when we come back, we'll talk about immersive journalism. Okay, lots of stuff today, huh?
I love immersive journalism.
I'm sorry, you love immersive journalism? Yeah. Why? Why is that?
Because my undergrad was journalism.
Oh, cool.
So I'm interested in.
So you have lots to talk about.
Maybe we'll see. Oh, I watched the video, and it's so unsettling.
I know. It's so. Especially if you are embodying this position, stressful position.
Also, the God Bless America, like they were singing like, like the menacing voices. They were singing like verses from God Bless America, which is like super dystopian and like I hated that.
Super weird.
It's super weird.
I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, immersive. I don't have enough time for you to discuss this. I mean. There's too much content today. It's okay. We'll let you talk later.
对，好，那等一下好了，先去查，谢谢。
你们准备饭了？
我们可以办，老师要给我们多久我们就讲。
好。等一下让他们讨论一下 immersive journalism， 然后再给他。因为你讲了2篇，然后还顺便讲了很多其他的7、8篇。
因为这个 PPT 我放在老师的后面，所以等下老师关起来他就可以用。我想要那个第二个对对对，我来先把这个。
是看。
哦，对，好的。这个不会，谢谢。
Grace, how long have you lived in Taiwan?
Now about a little over a year. So I'm entering my second.
Do you like it?
Yeah. My family is from here. Yes, but I didn't come back a lot when I was a kid because flying a family of 5, it's far and expensive. So yeah, just not a lot of time. So
So your family is originally from like Taipei?
Yeah, so
or-
my father's side of the family is originally from Taipei, so like all my uncles, my aunts, and everyone, they live here. But my mom's side of the family kind of lives everywhere. So I have like my aunt lives in like Taichung, and my uncle lives in Hualien with my grandma. So they like live that section of Taiwan.
So you've been around Taiwan?
Yes, I have. I've traveled a little bit and looked around at places, so it's nice.
Do you have like a favorite?
Actually, I really like Kaohsiung.
Yeah.
It's much cooler than it is here because weather. I know typically it's warmer.
My face is.
I know. Typically it's warmer. I know, but for some reason, when I went down there,
It was nice.
Yeah, it was fine. The weather was really pleasant because up here it's like so hot because of all the buildings. So there's like no wind that comes into the. So with Kaohsiung, I felt like it was. Yeah, and everything seemed a lot slower paced. There were a lot of people, of course, but not as many as there are in Taipei. And I think that's probably also why I like Hualien, because it was
Oh yeah, Hualien's really
very
not as crowded.
indeed.
Have you been to Thailand?
I have not been to Thailand yet. I think I'll probably go there over Chinese New Year,
Oh.
because it's the only, Tainan and Taichung are the only places I haven't been yet, so everywhere else I've pretty much been to.
I'm from there.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah. It's like I like introducing China. I think it's after studying here, I like my hometown more.
Yeah, I feel that because I think when I went off to college, I felt like I appreciated my hometown a little more after I left. So yeah. So actually, this would be a good question for you then. The last time originally we were going to go to Tainan, but instead we went to Kaohsiung because we found there were more things that we wanted to do in Kaohsiung. So there's the only main thing I know we want to do is go to the fort. My boyfriend is really interested in military things. And so. Oh, I think I scanned the other grab one. Yeah. Yeah. So, do you have any recommendations?
If you like historical sites, then Thailand definitely. And also, you just go there and you eat a lot.
That's all I'm looking for. I love eating.
You just eat a lot in China. Like, that's what I heard from every tourist.
Yeah, all of my friends. That's something that is like different. Like Thailand's like flavors and like all of the cooking is different, I guess. Which I'm like,
It's sweeter than ours.
I see. Then I will definitely. Mosquitoes, like everywhere. I'm still getting mosquito bites. Well, I don't think in this room, but I think they're from earlier.
Or in the mountains, do you look up?
Yes, but I came from my grandparents, so.
Because usually there will be more on the mountains.
大家看我，然后就觉得不直接这样。之类的，或是有空是我做事情，因为我超快乐的，也还好。我做事我都用琐碎的事情完成。你有帮不了用琐碎的事情完成，这样我可能人生会变得琐碎。我还没有看过，我真的从不会。哦，上面。我家讲他会。对呀，他应该给我评价。而且我的第一个对是。哦，那个哦，我懂你意思。他现在用真的，对。我以前是大学跟别人是大学对。干嘛？我去找那边没有人，龙山寺去找那个，对吧？那种拜高人，然后睡着了，好紧张啊！
我在前面讲到我自己都快睡着了，我觉得讲话都是噼噼啪噼，然后就很想睡觉。I'm sorry.
No, what you just said.
Oh, you understand?
Yeah,
what
I
I'm saying?
understand Chinese better than I can speak Chinese.
Oh, so you've
You've been talking so much that you want to listen.
yes.
I'm very good. Like I can hear really good. It's the speaking that's the hard.
Wow.
It's because as a child, my parents spoke Chinese to me,
Oh,
so
so
like
cool.
that well, it would be cooler if they taught me how to speak Chinese.
Wow.
Because I'm like, I have to like everywhere I go, like, how you
Oh, that's very good. My condition is like yours in Taiwanese. But I hardly understand much of Chinese either. I just don't have the talent for that. I don't know why. And people found my accents for Chinese so funny that they do not teach me anything. So they do not correct me. So they found my speaking Chinese as an entertainment. I know. My friends are mean to me. No. 像你现在讲什么，然后看看我听不听得懂。我讲讲看，对，立功跨麦，这样对吗？
还可以吧？
还可以吗？还不错啊。那你再讲一句。
Okay, did you grow up in Taipei City or were you close to your grandparents?
I grew up in Taipei City.
Okay.
And not really close to my grandparents.
You are the first one to break my algorithm. Because Taiwanese, I've learned that you only really speak outside of Taipei.
In southern.
Yes, you have to be close to your grandparents or
Do you speak Chinese? 然后你是台北人吗？
没有，我台南。
台南，哎呀，那就南部人
因为
了。
我爸有刻意教我，小时候我爸就是很想要模拟教育，所以他就会。
My grandparents speak to each other in Taiwanese, and I sit there
从
like.
小习惯，因为他很久了会生疏。像我上来读书之后，回阿妈家就开始会有点，
因为怪怪的就。
对，要想。
And also in southern part of Taiwan.
Yes, so outside of Taipei.
She's from Tainan.
Okay, how is your Taiwanese?
Where from? So you know Taiwanese, right? Very fluently. Like, do you want to speak one sentence?
Where are you from? You break my algorithm. I have questions for you.
I came from Kaohsiung. How do you say that in Chinese?
我对高雄来。
哦，我就高雄来。那我从台北来呢？ 我不是说我是台北大家人。Okay, stop. Stop. So funny, right? Yeah. So I'm not good at The taxi driver taught me Chinese.
That's
so
also good
good
Chinese
at-
practice though I've learned for foreigners
Yeah.
is if you aren't really good at Chinese, you can kind of practice with taxi drivers.
Oh, cool. Yeah, taxi driver is my teacher for Chinese.
Even in Taipei.
Yeah, in Taipei. Okay, let's come. 帮我
可以可以可以。先讲回去。
Okay, immersive journalism. I only have 2 questions for you. Do you consider VR as a type of journalism?
Before the reading, not really, but after the reading, like after doing the reading, I guess it's
Really? Cool. So, yeah, Lily.
I play the games released by the developers before.
Oh, yeah, 急诊人生.
Oh, sorry. 报道者.
Yeah, 急诊人生. The title of the game is The Reporters and 报道者 the reporter, and the game of the title of the game is 急诊人生. Emergency room. Live in the emergency room.
That's how I know the VR journalists.
Oh, but the 急诊人生 is more like a journalism game. It's a game, but right now we're talking about immersive. Actually, immersive journalism can include VR. It can include journalism games, and also, in this paper they specifically talking about 360 video or the VR in journalism. Yeah. So thank you, Lily. So. Anyone watch any 360 video from New York Times or from any other media for VR journalism?
National Geographic.
Oh, is National Geographic journalism?
I feel like it's journalism.
Journalism for animals.
I mean because they have other things, but they do report
I know.
things.
Oh yeah, like environmental journalism. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so any thoughts about using VR, especially we know that journalism has to be objective and truth, based on truth, right? So there are different forms. For example, in Apple Daily News, do you guys know that? Apple Daily News, 苹果日报, they also introduce like video typed of journalism, 动新闻. So they use like video typed of. So that's do you consider that as type of journalism? Because it's using graphical animation to represent the video. Sometimes you don't have any videos for the news, like somebody killed somebody, like the sad story.
Oh yeah,
recently.
what happened in
Yeah, it was like you don't have the footage of that, right? So sometimes so someone having an affair with somebody else and can't release that kind of footage on the news, so they use this kind of animation to visualize and tell the story. Do you consider that type of journalism? Well, because the practitioners are using it, and we sort of like, okay, it's journalism. But VR, well, there are 2 types of VR journalism. One is 360 video, so you just have a camera, and it's pretty true. It's pretty factual and real because it's real journalism. You just there's one video that I watched is they put this 360 camera on the back of someone climbing a really high skyscraper. Someone always wants to challenge climbing really high without any safety
Parts.
Parts or something. So that is journalism as well. But the VR journalism that we talked about in the paper, the second paper, they are actually remodeling. They use remodeling to create this virtual world to make you relive and re-experience the events. They talked about the what's it called? The Bay? Guantanamo Bay, yes, Guantanamo Bay. So, any thoughts about that? Do you think that it's acceptable is this still journalism if you remodel everything, just like, the Apple Daily News, the animation? And you are the one who's experiencing this. Yeah, that's a really different angle to tap into. Any thoughts? You're Maddox. You said you're from journalism background.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked as a journalist for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like that uses the term journalism pretty loosely. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold on it.
Okay, so yeah, my concern is that if you remodel the experience, is that still journalism? You can say it's editorial, right? Editorial content, so they're trying to discuss some social issues or different issue. But for me, journalism has to, really real footage from that. So for me, maybe the animation from Apple Daily News, it's more like a telling story approach for the journalism. So let's look at this video. Okay, yeah. It's linked to, oh, yeah. So,
Where are we here？怎么了？要回，我们要同步显示，对不对？
对。Okay, let's look at the video. So this is the one that they created and talked about in the paper, the Guantanamo Bay. They put it on. We don't need to look at the put it on part, but they put their back, but they're sitting comfortably on this chair. Sorry, in the VR, they see that they're actually in a stressful position. Okay, there's a mirror in front of you. You can see that you're in this stressful position. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but you can hear the interrogation sounds in another room from. So you can see, and lots of people, when they experience this, they felt like it's not ethical to treat prisoners like this, because the journalism, they are talking about the issue. So if you are treated like this, it's ethical. Prisoners' rights matters. So this is the. Yeah, they're so weird and authority. Yeah. See, yeah, it's a. Okay, so this is the video, and the next one. Oh, sorry, there's no next one. It's not the PowerPoint. The next one. They also talk about this one. It's they talked about the food bank, and somebody hasn't had the food and they already died or fainted and died from hungry. I need to do the. It's too slow, huh? Okay. Audio is free. Okay, so we're exploring another type of journalism. So if you watch a regular news, you probably will just look at the text-based news and talking about someone is waiting on the line for the food bank and too slow, too hungry that he hasn't had the food yet and he just fainted down and had a seizure. And we could, if people will make it like like TV television news. So, but they wouldn't have the real footage because what happened is there's no the digital I mean the cell phone is not that common at that time. So they created this version that to make you experience how it felt like when you're in line with the food and somebody had a seizure. Any emotions from the video?
A little disturbing, I guess.
Oh, why? Pretty
You're literally
disturbing.
watching somebody seize.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's not a real person. But
I feel bad.
Exactly.
I felt sad, and I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean these things happen all the time.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, hunger, poverty, you know, people dying in the streets. It happens, and I feel like well, one, it isn't really reported in the news because it's so commonplace, and two, even if it is, I feel like Americans, is what I can speak to, right, are desensitized at this point because we know that poverty exists. We know that these things happen.
Well, we know that our desensitized.
We're desensitized, so perhaps if this were available for a wider audience,
It's like empathize with them. Well, hunger poverty issue in Taiwan is very uncommon, I guess.
Okay.
We rarely see this kind of news. We have you ever seen anything like that? Because we don't have a food bank system. We have a food bank system? I don't think so. Yeah, but we rarely have this kind of news. So it's quite like disturbing or shocking to me when I see this and felt bad, but I'm pretty sure there are similar problems in Taiwan as well. So yeah, so even we all have some emotions in this, and they use the real footage. So do you consider this as a type of journalism right now? For me, it's a real footage, and I feel like okay, it's from the actual scene, the audio, and now they are just remodeling this and make you relieve. And for me, I don't know, my standard is loose enough after this. Yeah, so it's. For me, it's a type of journalism. But Grace?
I don't know. I don't.
It's really hard, right?
I know. I see what you mean. It's like, I remember there was an incident in the U.S. when a reporter got shot on TV and it was recorded, and sometimes it would be replayed, and it just like then they stopped replaying it because people were getting really sad and frustrated about like what was happening. And so like I feel that even though this may be like a form of journalism,
we are not sure whether it's too much or
it's like it is happening. It's unbiased. I understand it meets like certain criteria, but I don't think that this would be what we would consider like journalism.
Yeah, it's still like editorial.
Right.
It's like you already taken a stand and you talk about from this point of view to discuss this issue. So for me, VR fits into editorial very well. So my second question is, what kind of topic fits into VR journalism? Like what kind? For me, I think 360-degree video fits into VR journalism very well. And all those like environmental or leisure or very lighthearted content also fits into VR journalism. And any other topic? Like any other, like, yeah. What does not fit into VR journalism? Well, there's they put you in the Syria or something, and then you experience there's a bomb near you and then it's explode. That's okay. What else? But what is not? I feel very disturbing in between like a fighting event. Sorry.
I think the only topics where VR would be effective are like these traumatic events, you know? And so Yeah, I mean, like things
Too
like
traumatic.
that will call you to action. Like it's like activism through journalism.
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
one of journalism's, I think,
Yeah.
purposes.
Meant to, yeah. So those kind of topic you think is fit into that.
Yeah.
Well, for remodeling, like modeling type of VR, like animated and modeling, that requires time and requires lots of resources. So only editorial or social issues or like investigative journalism fits into that because it requires lots of resources. You're not going to make a really little thing into VR. And for other topics, you can do that. I think it's cheaper to use the 360 camera to capture things, so you can experience in a parade what it feels like, in a festival or in protest, how it felt like. So I think these are the topics that fit. An ethical concern, any ethical concern that during the first thing I think is that if you are filming anything, if someone needs your help, you shouldn't be filming. You should help them first instead of filming that, right? Any other ethical concerns? I don't know. Think about that because we're out of time. It's their time, so I'm going to let them and lead the discussion and supplementary today. Sorry, I told you I'm sorry. Only left like 18 minutes for you. So sorry.
可以试试看，可是因为用 Teams，就 Teams 它跟影片很不友善，所以它但我们可以把它拉出来，好，就是试试看不要分享画面。
好，
对，没关系，你就好先这样。
好，我就是一样这样，一样是就是按一样的。
对。Okay. 然后你想要滑鼠的话，可以用这里。
好。So, first we're going to be talking about the literature, and then Julia and Riley are going to give some examples. Okay. So the literature that we picked is talking about sexual harassment, and it examines how like immersive journalism can help the storytelling by using VR, and then it wants to promote more knowledge about the views and stereotypes of sexual harassment. Okay, so a little bit about sexual harassment is that they didn't have a specific like definition because in every country there's different ways to define it. For example, like in France they talk about coercion to obtain sexual favors, or like in Israel they even include the use of visual and video materials. So they had different ways to define it, but the most common type of sexual harassment is gender harassment, so like sexual remarks, hostility, and they are often also connected to power relations. So after the Me Too movement, there was a lot more attention and media coverage about sexual harassment, but a lot of scholars mentioned like even how Me Too started is related to the power relations, because at first it was actually, the hashtag was introduced a long time ago, like in 2006 by an African American woman, but then it didn't catch attention until a Caucasian celebrity shared it, and then that's when it went viral. So they had increased coverage of sexual harassment, and it was able to increase public's awareness, but then there was, they found that there was a lot of misunderstandings. So this paper wanted to examine how VR as a tool can promote empathy, and it can kind of override the stereotypes that you have about sexual harassment. So what they did was, so for VR is talking about like the sense of being there, and then there's we covered a lot about it, so we'll just skip this one. So the immersive VR experiences is said to have helped like with feelings of empathy, and because they can, or like when they can interact with the characters, they have this feeling of wanting to help the characters. And immersive journalism, they first talked about how like when they were viewing things on video on social media platforms and they measured the reactions or the comments or the shares, they were able to be more, they engaged more when it was visual rather than text, and they were able to remember more details. So the immersive journalism hopes to increase engagement. So by experiencing an event as if you're actually there, and then you can enhance your emotional responses to the event. So their first research question was, how do methods of consuming content stimulating everyday experiences of workplace sexual harassment differ in arousing empathy towards the victim? And their hypothesis was that because they used 3 different ways, so they used the 360, and then they used the regular videos, and they used the text. So the hypothesis was that the 360 would be the most empathetic because they had more immersion. And then the second, so they compared it with different, they compared between these different groups, and they used a Likert scale, and they had questionnaires with statements. So what they found was that there actually wasn't any significant differences just by changing the technology, which is also what we found in a lot of the other papers. And that actually what really mattered was the content, so how emotional the content was. So that was kind of like the only thing, like this only standalone thing that was significant statistically. And then the second question was about which factors would predict a change in views and opinions on sexual harassment. And all the different variables when they, so the 360, the video and the text, when they were interacting, they were able to decrease in stereotypical views on sexual harassment. And this paper was a pioneer study about comparing these 3 different forms. And the result was that even though the VR wasn't able to decrease increase the empathy by itself, if you were able to connect it with like more, like it depended on the content. So if the content was more emotional, then they were able to get more empathy out of it. And the immersivity is also influential when you combine it with other factors. So because this study is a quantitative study, so they realized like when you measure empathy, it's actually very complicated, and using the scales would be very hard. So they suggest that in future studies, they could use like small group discussions so that they can have conversations between the participants, so you can know more about how they felt.
So their conclusion is that did they test VR and non-VR?
Yeah, they tested 360 and then the video and the text.
Okay.
Yeah.
360 video and text, and no differences.
Yeah, it wasn't that, like just by the variance of the technology, there wasn't that much difference.
Oh, and gender, swapping the gender didn't influence either. Only the content.
Yeah, the content was more.
So they tested different content.
Yeah.
Like one is more
emotional and
one
then
is more not emotional.
Yeah.
Okay, so only content matters.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other interaction, there's no interaction in class?
No, because they just do the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean interaction effects is the like different variables interacting with each other.
Not so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So for the next part, Riley and I are going to talk about some other examples of VR journalism, and I'm also going to share my. The concept of immersive journalism is first posed in 2010, which led virtual reality into the world of journalism. Throughout the times, VR journalism has a massive improvement and growth, especially in 2015, and the industry is still booming. While experiencing through VR journalism, audience can have better sensory stimulation by putting on a wearable device like goggles. And for this presentation, I buy a Google Cardboard myself. And it's pretty cheap. It's like
$150.
like $200 NT dollars. Yeah, and it's really.
NT.
Yeah, $20 NT dollars. Yeah.
Just a cop.
Yeah. Maybe most of the people will not want to spend that much money to buy those expensive devices. And moreover, foreign media like The Guardian has released VR apps as a quick access for audience to their VR news. So this is the first virtual reality news broadcast, covers the Millions March in New York City post in 2015. And we can have a quick look. So,
So that's the Guardian's.
Do you want to?
Oh, yeah.
I think we can.
Oh, it has to load for a while.
Oh
Oh my God.
Well,
Wow,
it
hi.
happens to me like 2
You can't see it here. Don't worry. Let me.
没有，你就是直接 paste 那个 link to
Oh yeah, I have a link.
Chrome。
Here,
因为我
right?
刚刚也是
Can you
镶嵌一个
please?
YouTube video，然后在自己电脑就可以了，在但速度不够快，
播得出来，只是要
所以大家可以直接播，
可是要等一阵子。
就是不知道为什么出来的话就是。You understand what I'm talking
Oh
about?
my god.
等一下哦，他还没有播。然后你把它换。对对对。
就是你要看上面图示，它有一个切换那个啊。
然后我们要到。
So.
哦，对对对对对。
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a 360 degrees video. Oh, back to the PowerPoint. So as you can see, compared to a normal video news, how to
在下面，
这个
最下面。
这里。
this one.
对对对。对对是它。
等一下。
Okay, so as you can see, compared to a normal video news, VR journalism provide a wider view. If you don't have the headset, you can still browse through the 300 degrees videos by using the arrow keys. Or if you are watching on your phone and iPad, you can simply use your fingers. While wearing the Google Cardboard myself, it feels like that the journalist is forecasting right in front of me, and I feel like I am really in the march myself, and the atmosphere and the chanting is pretty real. So another interesting example is about the solitary confinement posed by The Guardian. And the video takes the audience inside the simulated cells. You can hear the stories and experience the psychological damage that happened during extreme isolation. By the way, who are willing to experience the solitary confinement while we other watch the video?
Try. Someone want to try?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lily.
So, 你可能要自己用手拿，我帮你试看一下。
他用手拿。Yeah, using hands.
然后他已经在播了。Okay, so
你有需要往前，就是你需要那个往前调吗？还是从头播到尾？
这个吗？这个是从头播到尾。
OK， 那就可以直接放，因为他没办法。
要怎么直接点吗？
你可以点点看。
要点的话就变成下一张。
那我觉得你还是出来好了。
哦。And this is a preview of the. Oh, shit. So Sorry.
点这个嘛。
有时间就播一下。有没有说？
对吧？Sorry，对，抱歉，也不能用完全部。Yeah, because of the time.
看不到，看不到你在看。
We're watching the same.
只有你看得到你在看，我们看不到。你有看完吗
Yeah, how do you feel?
Depressed and lonely.
Yeah.
Nothing to do.
Yeah. So, in my own experience, I can truly.
I have another
Yeah.
perspective. I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. So in my own experience, I can truly feel the intense pressure through a 9 minutes tutorial while thinking about those prisoners in real life need to spend like 22 to 24 hours a day in the cell. So it is totally possible that I might suffer a nervous breakdown if I was locked in the solitary confinement. The pounding noise in the video is very true. I can feel the coldness and the loneliness. Somehow in the middle of the video, it gets too immersive that I have to take off the glass.
Even for this.
Yes, I need to take a break. So, before I tried the Google Cardboard to watch these VR news, I was not really interested in the VR journalism because sometimes I just don't have that much time to watch video news, even to experience the VR video myself. But I have to say that after experiencing through these VR news with Cardboard, I would definitely want to watch more. But there's a difference between VR journalism and the VR video games. Because you can only observe rather than walking around. For example, when I was experiencing the solitary confinement, I found myself walking around and try to see, but I bumped into
There's a narrative.
Yeah. So, but I do think VR journalism can evoke place illusion. While experiencing through the video, I know that I'm not really in a cell, but I feel like I was in there. Another interesting finding is that while searching for information, I found out that the application of VR journalism in Taiwan is not fully developed and is not common. but I suppose that people may change their mind like I do when they experience VR news themselves. This is definitely a new market. And I'm also wondering, is it possible that VR journalism can become a whole new way to present breaking news? Because those are all like feature news. Yeah. So, Riley is going to talk about other interesting examples. So,
Yeah, because I think this is more related to that issue that mentioned in the paper, but
If you can only share one example.
I know,
Which one would
yeah,
you share?
yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. That's because I'm too tall.
那么跳下一页，
没有什么下一个。
你都没有动。
Yeah, because
诶，
when you're
但是
in
你们不要按。
Teams, full window, yeah, when you use full
影响
screen
点，
sharing with
我
in
没有
Teams,
办法
you
你现在
cannot.
想要做什么？
全荧幕。
但是它不
Okay,
是全荧幕啊。
imagine I'm
可是我不
here
要
in
这
the
一页，
Women's March
我要这一页。
already, wearing pink, all pink.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. So you can just search it for yourself.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's
It looks really
yeah,
interesting.
but I
If you look at other PowerPoint slides,
这个是
well,
at least you do them.
oh yeah.
Oh, waiting for
So
asylum.
yeah, this is quite interesting, and I'll just show you the CNN news. Like it's the normal news that we used to read. So it's talking about the long waiting time for asylum. So you can see that the reporter is trying to make you feel like you have to wait for a long time and try to make you know that it's, you know, by the punctuations and the wordings to make you feel that. But if we can just, you know, how to go back.
Yep.
So if we can just look at this, yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the last page that works.
快快快！
不清楚。
就你要跳出去，它才可以。你要那个暂停。看得见。再跳。So you can look around. Animate. You can look around. You have to, yeah, look. Yeah. So yeah, it's not that easy. So we don't know about, yeah, we don't have that experience. The border thing. Definitely follow the narrative and explore the experience never can experience. Yeah. No. Let's just, you know, go into the house and I'll end this. Yeah, because so it's like this. Yeah, so I feel and if you have the Google person, so I think this is an effective. You don't have to, like you can, you wait the waiting for like you
can really experience how to those refugees. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Example, thank you. And okay, so you like the content that we discussed and shared today? Lots of content. So next week we're going to talk about VR games. And in addition to the papers that you're going to read, I'm going to share more industrial applications and examples to you. Okay, who's the you guys are leading next week? Okay, cool. So we'll wait for next week. And after next week we have 2 weeks online courses. Hooray! Cool. Hopefully we can still have like this number of students, like people are not dropping the course anymore. Okay, I'll see you next week. And okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
网络上有人在看吗？有人上课吗？
今天刚刚今天好像没有，今天没有。
Are like in different time zones, so they always like take courses purely online.
他们就会看那个存档。
哦，
老师，我刚刚发现这里要钱，因为查验人跟计划组成是同一位啊。
Can we turn on the light a little bit? 其他也要吗？就只有这个地方？
都要。那个都是就是
计划主持人吗？
对，因为计划主持人跟验证人同。
有人在外面要找我还是 ？Okay, Grace, shoot.
Okay. So basically, I read this book and it kind of mentioned something interesting in the form of